Throughout his career, if he was deficient in something, Bryant, and this is so key, Bryant would display the work ethic to build every element of his competitive portfolio with an almost manic insistence. With me, it's simple, Bryant told me. And so he's talking to the author, Roland Lazenby. With me, it's simple because there's a lot that I want to accomplish in my life. Most of all, I just want to be the man. Remember that. I just want to be the man. He told me, reaffirming his goal of making himself into the NBA's top player. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I just have to find a way. And he would, despite how unlikely such a goal seemed at the time. Kobe had settled in on an answer he'd known all along. He was going to grind his way there, relentlessly grind away at the challenges of the game, night after night, game after game, until he found a dominance born of his ability to outwork everybody else. Now, I just want to pause for 1 second. We'll come back to the introduction in a second, but I actually think that is a really important lesson, that he's going to grind his way there. And I really think work ethic became such a synonymous part of my study into Kobe. It's such a theme that ran through his life. And I just think this idea of grinding your way there, working really hard, man, that is something that I took away from Kobe. And I think, as I say, it's a great lesson for any one of us. But now I want to share with you element number 8, because this is for Kobe, where that good fortune would end, if you like. And now this would come down to squeezing every last ounce out of his talent. And so let me set up this element for us, number 8, because I saw this interview with former NBA player Richard Jefferson, and he just said this great line I want to share. He said, Kobe showed what an absurd, psychotic work ethic can get you. Kobe showed what an absurd, psychotic work ethic can get you. And I was just struck by the same thing. And so element number 8 is work ethic. What I can tell you, page after page, story after story, interview after interview, this was one of the most defining factors of this guy, the work ethic that he would put in, especially when you compare it to other people inside the NBA. And actually, one of my single favorite lines of all my notes, Kobe said this: you always want to outwork your potential. Always want to outwork your potential. And he finished up by saying, as hard as you believe you can work harder than that. It's just great words, simple words. Outwork your potential. What I love about that takes away the excuse, if you're naturally talented, that you don't have to work as hard as somebody else. And back to the high school coach, because this explains Kobe didn't fall for any of that nonsense. So it told us that fall at Lower Merion, Downer, and so Downer was Kobe's high school coach and Lower Merion was his high school. That fall at Lower Merion, they discovered that Bryant had a startling work ethic. He pushed himself through a grueling self-improvement schedule that included road work, weights, and seemingly non-stop basketball at team practices. He was determined to never lose a drill or contest. This is crazy. He was determined to never lose a drill or contest, and for almost 4 years, he would maintain a perfect record in that regard. It's amazing. 4 years. Let me say this. Kobe understood very early on how to push himself at this 100% mark. And I think what's amazing, you might be watching this and this isn't a judgment, but maybe you've never pushed yourself 100%. And that is what I'd love you to take away from Kobe, because it actually makes me ask myself the question, and maybe you can ask yourself the question, how often do you give 100%? How long do you give 100% for? Is it 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 hours? What I think is most people never discover how to get the best out of themselves. And I think learning about Kobe Bryant, It allows you to tap into something you may never have tapped into before. And I just think the true origin behind his work ethic, I discovered this little secret, this movie that inspired Kobe. So Kobe said this: Rudy was one of my favorite films growing up. After watching that film, by the way, Rudy's from 1993. After watching that film, I came to understand if I could work that hard every day. So I made a promise to myself that when I do retire, I'd have no regrets. So this Rudy work ethic, I mean, it encapsulated everything about the way this guy went about his business. Kobe didn't leave anything to chance. And when he was playing a practice game, it was like he was playing in the NBA finals. Kobe believed that you worked harder in practice than even you did in a game. And, as I mentioned, very few people operate like this. And there's so much to learn about this mindset. And so I want to tell you a little bit about this movie, Rudy. Maybe you haven't seen it, because it's this heartwarming tale about this guy who basically had very little physical or natural ability, both when it came to sports and academics. And so nobody in his family before had been to college. And so he's determined not just to go to Notre Dame, but also to be a walk-on at the football team. So he goes to the tryouts, and I mean, he just gets the kicked out of him every single session, but he never quits. He never gives up. I mean, this movie, it is almost the ultimate story of perseverance. And what I love about Rudy, and it's sort of quite emotional to think how much Kobe sort of took from this particular movie, is that this kid Rudy had this relentless approach. He just refused to give up. And he really impacted the coaches and the other players on the team, because Rudy just had this massive heart. He didn't have any excuses. And I just think, you've got to go watch this movie, because that's the type of attitude that each one of us, if we take that into our life, oh my God, life becomes so different when you don't have excuses, when you won't give up, and when you find a way to give your all. And so listen to what Kobe's high school coach says, because Kobe had found this secret as a teenager. The coach said, "He worked harder than any other kid I've ever seen. Pro, college, high school, whatever. He was the hardest working basketball player ever. He wanted it, this final part. He wanted it more than anybody else." He wanted it more than anybody else. That was all the Rudy qualities that we just spoke about. And to build on this, I want to go back to Tim Grover's words, because he makes a phenomenal point here. A great understanding of these champions. Grover told us this: when people talk about Kobe's greatness, they often say he put in the work. True, but they're missing the point. This is quite subtle, but I hope I explain it correctly. But they're missing the point. Players like MJ and Kobe, they didn't just work, they consistently and constantly elevated the work. I mean, let that sink in, because what he's talking about here, these guys, they don't just go to training to work. They do it with a level of effort and obsession that other players are just not even thinking about, let alone actually executing on. They have this capacity to push themselves to the maximum over and over again. Obviously, I've shared a lot of things in this opening to Kobe Bryant, but imagine I only had 5 minutes to share with somebody the essence of what Kobe Bryant is all about. I think I would let them watch this interview that I'm going to tell you about. I must have watched this 50 times in my life, and probably 20 or 30 times whilst I was researching for this episode. I kept going back. I wanted to understand, what is it that makes this guy different? How is he able to drive himself like this every single day? So Kobe, in this interview, he's talking about the Mamba mentality and how this affects his work ethic. So he was talking about other players at the Lakers, other players in the league, and how he was gaining an advantage over them. So he said that most players only train twice a day. But listen to how Kobe is going to get an advantage over them. He said this.
Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4. You go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up.
I love to see people that enjoy hard work. I mean, I think about my own work ethic. I'm a hard worker. I'm somebody who puts in a lot of hours. No matter what it is I'm doing, I'm obsessive. And I've actually heard this term. I remember an old girlfriend's father saying to me, work smarter, not harder. So I always thought about that. But the other day, I saw this brilliant interview with Lex Friedman. He was interviewing this guy called Michael Paulson. He's basically a programmer. And they were talking about this kind of philosophy of work smarter, not harder. And this guy gave me an understanding of this that I'd never heard before. And I just think it's truly brilliant. And so this is what he said. The problem is, it assumes that you already know what smarter is. Like there's an easy, obvious path that you can just take. And I've never found that to be true, he said. Everything I've ever done was hard. Most of the time, I don't even know what I'm doing. So the only way I've learned how to work smart is by working very, very hard. There are no shortcuts, he said. I just think that is such a powerful framework that yes, you would love to be able to work smart, but the only way you get to that smartness is by working ridiculously hard and almost never believing that there's a shortcut. And I mean, that I think is especially true in athletics, for an athlete. Maybe in business you can find a shortcut, but Kobe was almost the proof that to really get the best out of yourself, you need to put in those lonely hours. And I was really excited to get to this story because this story just gives us a glimpse into Kobe Bryant's world in a way that few other stories does. Now, what I will say, this is a story that I actually found when I was researching on Reddit. Now, you might think to yourself, that might not be the most accurate source for a story, so you might even question the validity of this. But I'm telling you, when you've studied Kobe like I have, gone down the rabbit hole, I believe this to be 100% true. I'll be interested to see if you agree. So this story was about one of the trainers for the US team. He was called Rob. He talks about this crazy encounter down in Vegas when the US team were getting ready for their summer training camp. Basically, they were getting ready for some upcoming pre-qualifiers for the Olympic Games. And so this coach talked about in the past, he'd had the opportunity to work with some of the game's greatest. But this was the first time that he had the opportunity to work out with Kobe, the Black Mamba. If you didn't know, that was Kobe's self-proclaimed nickname. So Kobe had asked him for his number and said maybe they could do some extra training together. So the night before the first scrimmage, think of that, the night before the first scrimmage, the trainer's phone goes off. He nervously picks it up and he hears Kobe's voice. Kobe says, "Hey Rob, just wondering, could you help me get in some extra conditioning work?" So Rob checks his clock and it's 4:15 a.m. So Rob says it takes him about 20 minutes to get down to the training facility. By the time he gets down there, Kobe looks like he's already taken a swim. He's drenched in sweat. So for the next couple of hours, they put in some more conditioning work. And then Rob goes back to his room because they're meeting the entire team and the training staff have got to be back down at the training facility for 11 a.m. So he's feeling a little sleep deprived when he gets back down there and he sees some of the other players. So you've got LeBron, he's talking with D Wade, they're chatting with Coach K, he's the head coach. And then suddenly, almost goosebumps, he looks over to the other side of the gym And guess who's still over there shooting jumpers? Damn right, Kobe. So Rob is kind of shocked. So he goes over, and this is what the conversation looks like. He says, "Hey, Kobe, good work this morning. What time did you finish?" So Kobe says, "Finish what?" He said, "What time did you finish getting your shots up?" And Kobe says, "Oh, just now. I wanted to make sure that I made 800 shots before I left the gym." And so Rob was like, "Oh my God." My jaw just dropped. There was no surprise why this guy has been so effective throughout his career. He said all of it, the whole legend, the urban legend of Kobe, hit me like a train in that moment. Now, what I'll tell you when I reflect on that story, it's stories like that that made me want to start this podcast. Because when I was learning things like this for myself, I just realized the impact that stories like this can have on the way you go about your business. And, what I'll tell you is, if you're anything like me, and, most probably you are because you're listening to this, learning information, great information like this, it really changes the way that I go about improvement, the way I go about my business, the way I go about any aspect of my life. It really makes a significant difference. Knowledge really does. And I mean, not to mention the fact that it gives me a buzz. I mean, it certainly gives me a buzz to share this with you now, because I just think maybe this, more than any other story, helped me to really understand the way this guy thinks about trying to improve himself. And he's already arguably the best player in the NBA at this point in time in 2008, the best player in that squad. And so, I love the fact that Kobe didn't rest on his laurels. He was always pushing.